Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fresh Start, episode 11. We actually joined by the infamous Kayla with her wisdom and her smarts.
Hello.
Um, Today, the topic we want to talk about is kids, which sounds weird, but children in general. Um, it's been something that came up to me constantly, which is weird because I don't have kids. So, uh, but I think it's the importance of children to God and the importance for parents, how parents should raise their kids to be Christians, especially if you a Christian parent, the guidelines you should follow and your kids should follow to have how can I say it, a godly house and family, and uh, also with this ties in a lot of family ties and things. Something that I saw that I'd never thought was true, which is generational ties with with regards to sins. So how the sins of it's simple, the sins of your father can literally carry over to you, which is something from the Bible. It's not just made up by some people that says, okay, we don't like your dad, so we're not going to like you because of what he did. Um, and I think there's so much that's going on in life now today where kids get targeted and kids are the main target. We spoke about this last week as well, as that's how Satan gets to you, is through your kids. And I think that's one of his main focus points to attack, especially in today's day and age with everyone going mad in this world. Um, I think that's one thing that we've neglected as well as Christians, which might be offending some Christians, but I mean, we have where the thing of what I keep carrying on is about um, Christianity in schools that's been taken out. Then we say, okay, but what must we do? We're just normal people. We can't fight the government. But there is ways we can go about it that I feel, and I'm not going to go into that because I've had these fights already with a few people. So, but yeah, I think something that's important that you guys should feel have something to say about this. I mean, you are new parents, 2 years, almost three. So you guys should have some inputs, insight. Sorry, you see the smart one.
I think it's lead by example for one of. So Luca needs to see us busy with the correct things. What are we busy with? So he knows Sundays are church days. Some days he goes with, some not. He can't be part of the kids' school, church school, whatever you want to call it yet, because he's still too small. But as soon as he's old enough, we will make sure he joins that. But he knows it's church days. Like, for instance, before we eat, he knows we pray. He knows that we pray at night. Like, I've started now in the car on the way to school. What do you want to pray for? Like, he's obviously still small, so he doesn't understand yet. But I'll say, do you want to say thank you for mommy and daddy? Do you want to say thank you to your grandparents? Do you want to say thank you for the car, your toys, your friends? So you can see sometimes he looks at me and he's like, what is she doing? But it's a habit, The more you do it, the more you would want to do it, and the more it's second nature. When you read your Bible, so there were nights, like it's very difficult when they're still young, we're still trying to find our feet, but you read the Bible to him, but he's very distracted, so I'm not making excuses. You need to give him the story and explain the story. So the one night we did Noah's Ark. Brandon says I did it literally, but no. But you need to explain to him wie's oom Noah, and wie's oom, that is Adam. So you need to explain all of that to him, and you explain the story, and that's how you go. But I think for now it's more of what are we doing, and let's pray together. What do you want to pray for? So that's my 2 cents. And the worship music. He loves certain music, so entertain him with that also.
And I think, like you mentioned, it's lead by example. He needs to be able to have healthy examples of what's going on. I mean, if you're going to tell your kids to do something and you do the complete opposite, like that's just going to defeat the purpose. They're just going to think you're a hypocrite. And like you also mentioned, there needs to be a godly home. In the sense of, like, I don't know the exact stats, you can maybe pull them up, but there's stats where it says that if the dad in the house gets saved, then it's about 90 whatever percent that the whole house will get saved.
Yeah.
If the mother gets saved, then it's about, I think it was 30 or 40%.
Yeah,
It was very
less,
low.
yeah.
And if one of the children got saved, but the parents are not saved, then it's like less than, I think, 7 or less than 10% chance that the whole family could get saved. And I think that's where fathers also need to step up, in a sense where you have, I mean, if you get a kid, I mean, that is part of your ministry in this world. And are you going to mess up your ministry, or are you going to be accountable with what God gave you?
No.
And I think also as a father and as a husband, you need to, and as a man of the house, you need to be the king, you need to be the prophet, you need to be the priest of your home. That is literally what you have been ordained to do, and you've been given that task.
It's also a big responsibility. It's not just having kids, people just have kids left, right, and center, but it's a responsibility. God's trusting you to raise this child. And also, men will have to answer for this one day. You're going to have to go up there and he's going to be like, but why didn't you raise your child? Where were you? You were not present, and this and this and this. So you're going to have to answer for that at the end of the day. So it's a big responsibility to have kids.
And I think, so if you do, I don't know if you want anything on raising kids.
Well, she's with you, so I mean, shame.
She's
She
raising
has
a
the
big one. She's trying still.
Yeah, she has the most difficult kid, our mother's kid.
Zach. Anyway, before we get aggressive here, the things with Ephesians, I saw Ephesians 6, I think it's or verse 1 to 4. I might be wrong, but it's what I have here as well. It's a thing of where it starts with your, where it says, children, obey your parents because you belong to the Lord. For this is the right thing to do. Honor your father and your mother. This is the first commandment with, like with the promise. So if you honor your father and your mother, things will go well for you and you will have a long life on earth. And I think a lot of people take that, especially where you have, they also say where you should honor your elders. And I think people take that out of context, like, okay, you have to have respect for me no matter what I do, which, yes, as a Christian, that's right. But then also just after that, you get Ephesians 6 verse 4, where it's like, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather bring them up with discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. Which, if you go in and you look in the Bible how to raise your child, like, obviously it's given to us exactly how we should do it. And a lot of things with it correlates with how God treats us. So, because obviously we are his children, obviously the kids are as well. But as the parents, you should raise them. God punishes us, but not, obviously, we know, like, I don't know how to explain it now because I just brought that up way before I got to that part. But he gives us punishments, not physical. He doesn't hurt us. He doesn't take anything away from us. But he's like, okay, you should not be doing this. And the reason for that is he corrects you, not punishes, corrects. There we go. So he corrects you as you should correct your children. And everything, the way God treats you, he treats you with love. You should treat your kids with love. All those ways. And then it says, yeah, like the ways, like it says, fathers, don't provoke your children to anger. So that does not just mean, okay, get Luca to, and then now he's upset with you. It's things like you said with hypocrisy. Like if you're a hypocrite as his parent, that pushes him to anger in the sense of he's falling away because he sees, oh, you say this, but you're doing, it's that thing of do as I say, not do as I do, where it's a bit blurred lines. And then inconsistency, impossible standards, which I think a lot of people have these days, where they put impossible standards on their kids. And if they don't meet them, then groot moeilikheid. And then also another thing is humiliation as a means of punishment. Because I heard there was a podcast that I watched where the guy said, why do you spank your kids? Like, the guy said for him, it's a thing you do it at home. You don't do it in public. You take them home and you spank them there. You give them a hiding. And the other guy said, yeah, but why? Because it makes them feel embarrassed. Which to me, I wouldn't say that. The fact that my dad sat me and my brother down to hold hands when the family came over, that is embarrassing. And then everyone knows you were fighting. That's embarrassing. I would rather take the hiding before I take that. But I think it's the thing of, you get the hiding and you remember it, like, in the sense of, okay, I shouldn't do this. It's not just, in today's time, it's, you can't give them hidings. or they don't. We do this, what is it, soft parenting? I don't know what they call it now, where it's you ask them nicely, eh?
Gentle parenting.
Where he's like, please don't, you carry on, and he's just going to do what he wants to.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't. So,
And I think, yeah. No, I think at the end of the day, it comes across where there needs to be some consequences for your actions. And I mean, this gentle parenting, it's fine. I agree with some of it, where like you need to be a gentle parent. You need to respect their feelings. You need to also know what they are feeling and understand where they're coming from. But it's to a point where you can literally deal with it. Because otherwise you're going to have a kid that does not understand boundaries. You're going to have a kid that doesn't understand or have manners because I'm just feeling this way and I'm allowed to feel this way. You're allowed to feel this way, but if it's wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah. And that's also like where I said about the discipline, like where it says God disciplines you. It's Proverbs 3 verse 11, where it says, my child, don't reject the Lord's discipline and don't be upset when he corrects you. And that's the same thing with parents with kids. Like, obviously it's not fun if they tell you, okay, listen, you're not doing it right, or you're doing this wrong, but that's the way you're going to grow. There was one where I wanted to bring this up before I forget it, and then I say, okay, I'm done, and then we don't speak about it. It's where it's like Psalms, almost said Palms, Psalms 127 verse 3, where it's children are heritage from the Lord. So it's like he places them in families and gives the parents guidance on how to raise them with the Bible. That's the thing. So you can't raise your kids in the world. God doesn't give you your kids to raise them like that. And the thing for me, why they are important, is obviously everywhere in the Bible you see, especially there where all the disciples were fighting about who's the most important. And there were kids there, and Jesus said to them, if you're like these kids, then this is what you should be. Like, they're the most important. And there was a thing I watched about kids, how Satan works through kids, and the guy, I'll put the link up, where he talks about abortion today, which is a thing of where they go with, the whole slogan is my body, my choice, where it's a thing of where God used the words my body, because obviously in communion we take his body and the bread is his body, and the devil uses that my body, so he uses parts out of the Bible and he destroys, because he knows if he goes after kids, that's where he can hurt Jesus, and that's where he can hurt God. So he goes after kids and he kills them before they're even born. So he kills them. That guy had it was quite impressive to see, and how he explains it and everything. And that's what I think where it started for me, about how important kids are and their relationship with kids. And the thing of parents thinking, like, okay, you don't beat them to a pulp, but the hiding thing is part of the Bible. It says, it is there where it says, the rod of discipline won't kill your child. So, and it's a whole thing. I'll put up verses, but I'm gonna ask the people to actually go read it, because I see if I put up the verses, my mom is one of the most into this. She's like, oh, slow the verses down so I can read them. Why don't you just go read them for yourself? Now you think I'm putting the, what if I put nonsense up there? Go check yourself. Go check us. But where was I now?
The abortion and children. And
The Afrikaans people will know. It's daai wat sê tigtig die wat jy lief het.
Yes. So it is, I have all the verses here, but now it's so demakar. I'm going to find it when I don't need it anymore. There. That's Proverbs 23 verse 13 to 14, where it's, don't fail to discipline your children. The rod of punishment won't kill them. Physical discipline may well save them from death. So
Don't beat them to death.
Yeah, so I think that's where it's important to have a godly understanding of what you need to do, know your limits and that kind of thing, because you get, and especially I think in the Afrikaner community, you get these people wat tigtig die wat jy lief het, en buig die boompie terwyl hy jonk is, en slaat jou kind basically pimpel en pers, maar do you actually have that?
the one episode we have Kayla on, you go into Afrikaans.
do you actually then have that principles on where you're coming from with that? Are you doing it in a godly manner, or are you doing it in a way to really like hurt your child? To punish your child is one thing, but to discipline your child is one thing, but to like literally hurt your child is a completely different thing. And I think it also has to come from a mutual respect. I mean, if you are going to be, your child will have respect for you. If it's easy to also respect you, I mean, make it easy to respect you, then your child will do that. And I mean, even in like a godly family, where it says that the wives need to submit to the husband and that kind of thing, is basically where the husband should also make it easy. He should be so into God that it's easy for her to submit to him.
No.
Same thing with that thing where obey your parents. You have to obey your parents, but I think also the parents have to make it easier also to love your parents and to obey them. Don't make it difficult for your child to like you or to love you.
That's the thing where you're now getting in. If you go to the how the family should be and your role, basically your roles as the parent, and how you should submit to your husband. And we had this in church where the pastor also said, "Yo, he has women coming or mothers coming to him saying, yo, you should tell my kids the Bible says they should respect me and they should honor me." And then he said, "No, but maybe you should go read your part, because obviously the Bible has parts for everyone. It has what the wife should do, what is expected of a husband, what's expected of a mother, father, child, everything." So he says, give your kids their part to read. Let them see what they need to do, but then you also go do yours. See what you need to do. And if you, like the thing I also had that said, if you live according to the rules in the Bible, if you raise your kids accordingly to that, then you will have a family that lives together in harmony, because you will have kids that respect you, but you respect them. So it's obviously, it's not a one-sided thing. Oh, okay, you need to respect me, but I can treat you, like you said, the way I want to, but you have to respect me. And the thing where you also said, if the statistics, if whether the father is saved or whatever, on that sense, I think that's where it comes in, where it says families will be divided. Because I also saw with the family ties thing, if you as a child turn to God and your family doesn't believe it and doesn't believe in God or whatever, you might have family that turn with you and then like, okay, listen, there is something here. And then you'll have family that's just going to not do it. And I think that's where it's hard. Obviously, you can't, as a child, I can't go and say, okay, I'm writing off my mom and dad, just because they don't want to believe. Obviously, you're going to keep trying. But I think that's where it comes in to the point, like you respect them enough to not go through, to not be there constantly to put them into fights, into situations, and yourself into situations where you jeopardize your faith in your religion to keep them happy.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. And I think that's where it's a good part, that Ephesians that you mentioned, where kids, you should honor your parents, respect your parents, but then also fathers and mothers, like you mentioned, you need to play your part as well. Because I mean, as a parent, you can't treat your kids like rubbish and expect them to love you, expect them to respect you, and expect them to like do the world for you, right? I think, but that's a personal struggle for me. Is I don't think it's as easy as just writing off your parents, because at the end of the day, I think you still need to love them, you still need to respect them.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, and this is my opinion once again, maybe someone can teach me. Sometimes it's, like you said, important to distance yourself from that wrong behavior, that toxic behavior, or whatever it might be, for your own sanity, for your own growth. Doesn't mean you love the people less, doesn't mean you don't respect them. I think it's a matter of there needs to be that bit of a distance for that piece. Because I mean, unity to God is important, because where there's unity, there's a blessing.
No.
And the devil is obviously going to come in, and the devil is going to bring separation, especially in families. I mean, imagine if all of the families in Johannesburg, for example, stood together as units and actually believed in God and followed God with all their hearts. I mean, imagine the change you would see. But I mean, if you look around at people in Joburg, the love for money, the love for all of like greediness, like all of that, you can
It's
see
higher.
takes hold of the people here. So there's so many more divorces and stuff like that where families are screwed up, if I can call it that, where it's a sense of everyone is just looking out for their own interests, their own well-being, that you forget where as a family you need to stand. You need to stand as unity. You need to love each other. You need to respect each other. And I think that's why a lot of the people, I mean, that's why a lot of people just have kids like out of wedlock, and not only out of wedlock, just randomly sleeping around after parties and that kind of thing. It's because you're trying to fill some hole, you don't get acceptance from home, whatever the case might be. You're
That's
trying to
where the-
fill that gap.
That's where the ties are also coming in.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to fill. But also the end times are also speaking about what was it now? It was in Afrikaans.
You
Where
just said it as well.
the enemy, you will know the end times, or one of the signs will be that families are torn apart, because you're going to love everything else except your family. And I think the most important thing that you need to check, and I'm sure you're going to mention it somewhere, is the model, though, because you have God the Father and we are his children, and we need to love like he loves us. And he says, I loved you before you loved me. And that's how it needs to be, and it needs to go down, down, down like that to your kids. And I think it's not really, I can't even say that I've ever seen that before. You know, like, you don't know where that's coming from, because there's always something. So it's either you don't know God, or it's you have something you're holding on to and you don't know how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's I don't know if you want to go to that now, but that's something that's very, very important, to break those ties now. Like, if you haven't done it, now would be the time to do it.
And I think just before we continue on that, I think that's where it's important. I lost it.
Happens to the best of us.
That unconditional love, because no matter how many times you mess up, and I think that's what also one of the things I'm struggling with currently is that God expects you, right, to forgive 70 times 7. I mean, how many times when it comes to friends, if someone hurts you, you give them a chance. If they hurt you, you give them a chance. And then if they hurt you again, it's done. And with family, I think your family, unfortunately,
I don't know why he started screaming at us.
He's screaming at you. He's like, oh, family.
I
Just
think
calm it.
with family, I think it hits home where you need to really love like God loves. I mean, have that unconditional love. And I mean, forgive. I mean, how many times do we mess up? But you still need to try and forgive. My issue is, do you forgive? You forgive and forget, right? Do you then continue with that bad relationship?
I think that's where my thing is, why I said it, because I randomly on the last slide I have, which does not match with raising kids or whatever, but it's like Proverbs 4 verse 23, where it's guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. And I think that's why I said, if it gets to that point where you are sinning more, or you are losing God because of the ties with the family, whatever is happening, I think that's where you get to the point. Because I mean, if God said families are gonna be divided, if he said it, that father is gonna turn against son, and mother against daughter, and daughter-in-law, it's the whole list. Father against son, mother against daughter, mother against daughter-in-law, father against, it's the whole thing. If he said that, then I mean, to me it's a thing of, there's, to a certain extent, so obviously you can forgive them, but to put yourself into that situation again, that is like saying, okay, forgive me for my sins, but tomorrow I go do the exact same thing. You're getting to that point where I feel, for me, that's,
I think it's when to know how much involved you're going to get. I'm trying to say this in the right way.
Have you ever had a dream that
what I'm actually trying to say?
Okay, while you think.
I don't want to go into depth because this is going to go places I don't want to go.
No, but I'm just trying to think. I mean, you can think of various examples in your own family and other families, that kind of thing. But I'm just trying to think, because you don't want to play a part in dividing a family. So I think as a Christian, it's a difficult thing. I mean,
As you can hear, he's really struggling. Okay, as you can.
no, but I'm just trying. I'm trying to understand. I need to do homework.
It's
about
difficult
this,
to understand because you're not in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
You're not in that family's shoes. So it's difficult if you don't understand, because if you are raised one way and you're used to something one way, you are used to it. But if you are raised in something that is messed up and it's a gemors constant, you are used to it. And he's trying to get used to the gemors, and he's not trying to get used to the gemors. We can't. He doesn't understand.
I think it is hard for us because we didn't have our gemors is different to other people's gemors that we used to. But if you have to try and get used to that gemors, you're not gonna. It's gonna be. It's like me trying to get used to Kayla's parents and like how they do things and what they do. As an example, like I can't. I struggle. I try to, and then I come home and I'm like, I don't understand it. I can't. Like I'm really trying, but I don't understand how to do this.
Yeah, it's just
But
a
it's like the
difficult-
guy, like how close you guys are with your cousins and all of that. We come, my family, we see you at your funeral. Sharp. You know? And we actually had this conversation with my cousins a few weeks ago. And I said, I don't know what happened. I don't know why we're not seeing each other. I don't know why. Is our life so busy that we don't have time for each other? I'm like, how is it that I see Brandon's cousins more than I actually see you guys in a year? You know? So I think that's bloodlines, like blood tie lines, blood ties. Oh,
Yeah, the tie. That's why it's like that.
the
I
ties.
wanted to say.
So
It's,
I think my honest opinion, and if they're watching this, I'm so sorry, but the parents' drama and the sisters and the brothers' drama unfortunately carried over to the cousins, and that's where the problem's coming in. So if we are not going to sort out and say, you know what, whatever they did, that's their problem. Let us move on from life. We're never going to get along, or we're never going to see each other. You know, and what I did was I said, I don't have time for this or the energy. I'm stepping away and I'm doing my own thing. And that's basically what kind of happened.
And I think there was something that I read that it's basically the family you come from is important, but the family you create is even more important, because that ties exactly. If your father deals with stuff and your grandfather deals with stuff, that stuff can end with you. You don't have to take that forward. And I still want to watch that movie. And it ends with us. I don't know. I don't think it's a Christian movie, but
It's
I think it's a principle of
yeah.
where everything ends with you. If you have seen abuse, physical abuse, if your father hit your mother, if your father, whatever the case might be, if you saw that in your house growing up, you wouldn't want that for your wife. You wouldn't want
But how
that.
many times do it end up like that, though?
Yes. And I think it's important. And I think that's why Christianity makes a family so much easier and so much better, because you understand where those ties come from. You understand that this does not have to continue with me. This can be stopped because of Jesus.
Yeah.
He already stopped all of those curses. I mean, bloodline curses, all of those curses about sickness and stuff that carries on from one family to another. Because my grandmother had it, I can accept it, and it's just over me. Where you don't have to do that.
He's
Jesus
still
already
dealing with a few things.
Jesus already carried that, right? On the cross. And that is what our pastors also told us when we started praying over Luca, for all of these stuff to be broken down even before he was born. He said, why are you focusing on breaking, in a sense, from breaking curses if Jesus already broke those curses over your family already? Why are you focusing on that? You accept Jesus and you tell the devil that, listen, this is up to here and no longer, no further. Right, my English is failing, but you have that authority to
give them
end
time
with
to
us.
say something.
Yeah,
Okay, guys, like burning to say something.
No.
No. The wisdom only comes once every now and then. It takes a while.
No.
We had on Sunday, Sunday we had an hour service. It was the same thing. Yes, I'm trying to. Where were you speaking about now that you're a new person, and it is the thing of when you start following God, like the thing of now the families and stuff. If you are that person to follow it and you want to break that ties, it's hard. I think it's hard for us to take it and see, like we spoke in the beginning as well, where I said I feel like a hypocrite because obviously you know how I was before, and the person that I'm now, completely different. And it is to take that, can I? Yes, I'm trying. My English is also failing. I can't put it
Happening
into
today.
words. But do
One of
you?
the causes is subtitles.
Um, long story short, to put it like you do, forget about the past. I don't know. Like I just couldn't.
The
I had,
Americans are like, what are they saying?
I had what I wanted to say, but I can't. But let's go back to kids before we go too deep into the family ties, because I see Leanne just wants to move on from there. I have a thing here where it also says like our only way to have a family that bears fruit is to follow Christ. So the whole thing for me, this episode was basically about kids and parents. Like you can show this to your kids to show them that they should obey you. That we said it when we read our Bibles, kids. So it must be you must listen to me. But the thing is, I think that what parents also forget is the fact where you said you have to give them. Oh, they need to be able to respect you. It should be easy for them. You should make it easy for them to respect you and to honor you. And if you do by following God, I think that's how you do it. That's the easiest way, because now everyone's going to overthink, oh, how can I get my child to respect me? I can't give him hidings. No, it's I'm giving you a hiding because I love you. I want you to, I want to correct this. And if you're not the type that wants to give hidings, at least correct your children, because God corrects us. And if he's correcting us and he tells us, listen, correct your children, who are we to say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to listen to you. And it's also, that's where the thing is, if you reap what you sow, comes in with your children as well. Like we always said that we hope our kids are smart so we can have a retirement plan. So that's basically the same thing where it says, if you direct your children onto the right path, and when they're older, they will not leave it. So if you raise a child in a Christian household and yes, I was raised in a Christian household. I walked a different path and I'm back on it now. But I always knew that it's there. Like I always knew that this is actually where I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing. So my main thing is, in today's times, I think we should stop dismissing kids as much, in the sense of they're not as important, and actually realize how important they are, and that the devil is busy tearing everyone apart, and he's using our kids to do it. If you can't stand up and put Bible and readings and prayer back into school, at least do it before school. Then do it at home. Do it because we can't change that. If you can find a Christian school that's cheap enough in these times that you can send them to, by all means. But I think we should stop doing this thing of, but what can we do? We can't fight the government. We can't do this. Start doing it at home more. Focus on the places where you can change it and introduce it into the children's lives.
Yeah, because I think it's somewhere Jesus says, "Moenie die kinders verhinder van my nie, bring hulle almal na my toe." Yeah, whoever's watching this, they're like, "Eish, me, I don't know." I just want to say something about the thighs. Gosh, it feels like I'm saying thighs like Tinders. I do believe that is a thing, 100%. But I also do believe that you can break it down. So, like Brandon said before, Luca, even we said, all the things that is in his family and my family, we said it's not going to come close to Luca. I think for me, the reason I'm just keeping quiet at the moment is my health has taken a bit of a turn. I'm not giving I'm saying this under the blood. I'm not giving anything to the enemy. Where there's a lot going on now, and it seems like it might be something that is a bloodline. Something that I'm getting from my biological father, and it's something I have to take care of. And he struggles with it at the moment, but for me, it is for me at the moment. It is what it is. You know what? This is what's happening. Let me treat it. Let me get it better, and we take it from there. Okay, it's not something I can ignore and be upset about and just leave. Because if I don't, I can actually make myself very, very ill if I don't start looking after it. So there is that. But I feel like I'm sort of an overcomer. Like I've had asthma, and I'm like, whatever. Asthma, who are you? So there are things that you need to take serious and you need to look after, but it doesn't mean that you have something, say for instance, it's cholesterol or something, you have it, that you are not a child of God. Doesn't mean that. Nowhere, I said to Brandon this, no one said it's going to be easy. No one said you're going to be the healthiest person ever. Look at Job. Is it Job? I mean, he had everything and then he was so sick and all of that. So I think for whoever's struggling with stuff like that out there, it is okay. Like for me, currently it's a thing of type 2 diabetes that I'm struggling with. And I never wanted to say that to people because I'm much ashamed. I was like, I don't want to be the person that's got that. I don't want to be. And now I just make peace with the fact that, you know what, it is seeming that that might be the problem. Let's work on it, let's fix it, and let's move on from that. And it's not going to go close to or near Luca. And I'm not worried about it. I do what I need to do to make it better. So, and also stuff like an alcoholic father or mother or drugs or whatever that might be, you need to break it down. If you were raised in a house where you saw all of that, you obviously don't want that for your family and for your kids. So break it down and be the better person. Turn it around and let it end with you. And I said everything that went on with us, it ends with us. Whatever it is, whatever it might be. I have a few family members that are cray, and I'm like, it ends with them. It can't carry on to the next generation because shame the poor generation. I don't know what's going to happen with them. So that is a real thing, and you can break it down in the blood of Jesus. So yeah.
I think the thing for me with the taking it on, whatever your father had, whatever that, sure, it might be there, but we have the victory through Jesus. So I don't say it's not going to come, but we have the victory already over it. So we can take care of your health.
Yeah.
And we can trust him for health.
Yeah.
So, but
have it under control, but it's okay. I will be fine.
Obviously, I'm just saying that
it's
we don't have to accept
it. It's not even the strong one. Just he can do nothing. Don't worry. We'll be okay.
I think just to add to like the importance of children is the fact that obviously you got a child, but it's not just to have a child running around or to be have another Facebook update or whatever. It's literally a responsibility that you get. You are literally raising a next generation. Your child can affect a generation in a good way or a bad way. And I think that is important. And everyone in your child's life should realize that and like support that. Be there to build up your children. Be there to build up your grandkids. Be there to spend time with them and actually invest in their lives in a sense where you are a Christian. You have that wisdom of what happened to you in life, what you've gone through. Impart that in your children. Let them also understand so that they can be a stronger generation than what we were.
Oh. To me, it's always funny, the old people. Look at the generation of today. You raised us. Stop it.
Exactly. I didn't think of that. I'm going to say that the next time
So
someone
if they say
says
it to you, just who raised us? You can't complain about me. You raised me.
You have that responsibility. It's in your hands. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, someone's on fire.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for today, because otherwise we're going to start repeating, and because I'm going through my slides and I'm just going to repeat what I want to say. I have a few verses, so if you're still here at the end, I will put up a few verses just explaining what I tried to say today. And if you feel like, okay, you want to learn how to discipline your child, I don't know how to, but the Bible knows. I'm going to let the Bible speak for me there. And I'll put those.
I'm still trying.
And I think just as a disclaimer, just remember that we aren't the law. Like what we say doesn't have to go.
So look at me. I am the captain now.
We are, and we are just speaking out of our experiences.
Please, we are not perfect. I wanted to strangle my son just in bath time, so please.
That's a bit dramatic.
It's not. I would.
But I think it's just like also do your own homework. Find out for yourself, and
And that's what I think.
Also, I'm sorry. People think bloodline things are not a thing. It is really a thing. So go and do your homework. And I see it in my workplace. People think I'm crazy when I mention stuff like that. It is a real thing. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, that's what I also said. When you did family ties, I didn't think it's a thing until you actually read about it.
Yes.
But anyway, so I'm not going to put up the verses that I read, like the full thing. Actually, go do your homework. Go fact check us, and come back to me and say, listen, you didn't say it right. If I didn't quote it word for word, I'm sorry. I tried to, but yeah, so I'll do that so you can do a bit of more homework, because I think we've made it a bit too easy for the people to just pause and read what we said. The whole idea is we want to get people to follow Jesus, And I hope we're doing it right. And I hope we're getting you. I hope we touch your heart. And we will then see you next week on episode 12. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all the lekker things. And hopefully, if you're nice enough, Kayla will come back next week as well.
And maybe say something.
Maybe. If you leave 3 comments, she might say something.
She did say insightful.
Okay, so she'll have 3 words next time.
And I said no.
Oh.
Okay.
Anyway.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.